This week on JW Fusion,
we're pushing past fear to find the best you.
This week, we have a very special guest, Velveeta Young, and we're going to delve into her new book.
Yes, which is so relevant today.
This week on JW Fusion.
Blowing in from the Windy City, it's time for JW Fusion with your hosts, James and Wendy B.
Welcome to this week's broadcast of JW Fusion. I am your co-host, James Carver-Barnes, and I'm here with the awesome, the brilliant, and gorgeous Wendy B.
Thank you, darling.
So glad to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to be here. We have an amazing, incredible show this week with our very special guest,
Miss Velveeta Young.
The one and only.
Yes.
This is a powerful woman.
Ooh, they'll find out.
You would never know. She's like a vial of nitroglycerin.
Yeah.
She's small, unsuspecting, but will blow your mind.
Don't get it twisted.
Don't get it twisted. Welcome to the show, Velveeta.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
I came in dancing, so I told you I was going to try and keep it low, while you were here. But just your story,
yes,
and everything that you represent and that you teach
Yeah.
is relevant today.
It
really is.
More so than any other time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The name of your book alone. Girl, can we get it out tomorrow? Well, it's
Really?
Pushing past fear to find your best, the best you.
The best you. Yes.
And that ties right in with that saying.
Everything.
That song, I don't know who started it, but everybody has quoted, "Your blessing is on the other side of your fear."
Mm-hmm.
It's so true, though.
It is true. It is true.
And so I was happy to have you here today, Velveeta,
Yeah.
because a lot of people are living in a state of fear
Yes.
now.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were saying before the show started, the three of us collectively have been through some mess.
Yes.
And you have had more tragedy than one person should have to deal with. But I feel that although those are tragedies, they help us today.
They do.
With what's going on.
Yes.
To handle it mentally and emotionally.
Yes.
So speak on that with all that you do.
Yeah.
Well, I think in this time, a lot of people have a lot of reasons to be afraid, especially those that don't believe in a higher power, because you don't know who to turn to, who to look for, who to ask.
Who to turn from.
You don't know anything.
Yeah.
And all you have is what media is putting on the TV.
Which is fear.
But it's only a small portion of the bigger picture that's actually going on.
Yeah.
Before the show, me and James were talking, and I was saying, isn't it interesting that the whole world are submitting results on this virus except for Russia? Think about that.
Yeah.
And everything for the past 4 years that has been negative that impacted the United States has came from Russia. So it's interesting to me that they're silent on everything that's going on.
They're allowed to be silent.
Yeah, they're allowed to be.
They're almost a non-participant in what's happening. Every other country from every continent has numbers, number of people infected, data, everything, but you don't hear much from Russia. That's true. That's true. So, from your perspective, I guess it's irregardless or not relevant if Russia's behind it or whoever's behind it. The fact is, this thing exists, and people need to learn how to deal with situations like this, because they gave this thing a number. They gave it a number, 19, COVID-19. So that suggests to me that perhaps there's an 18 and maybe they're expecting a 20 or a 21. We don't know.
Right.
So this could be the beginning of a series of things that happen in the world, because it's not just affecting the United States or Europe or China or Japan or South America. It's global.
Right.
Now, what are the chances of something from one place affecting the whole world? I don't know of that ever happening before.
No.
I could be wrong. I mean, I've heard of the
Not at least
bubonic
nothing to
plague.
this magnitude.
Right. I've heard of the bubonic plague, the black plague, Spanish flu. We had swine flu. We had what else? What was there was another one they had. I can't think of it, but they've had several different incarnations of these influenzas. But I don't recall any of them having the global impact. And so this is telling me we need to get in touch with the one who created us, as opposed to those who are just governing us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's like we were talking, when 9/11 happened, people were praying, people were turning to God, people were more considerate, more unified, more mindful, like they are now. Even now, though, people can't even go to church. You can't run to the church now.
Right.
You know, now I wouldn't be surprised if somebody came on the scene that had the answer. One person that may show up, say, hey, I've got the solution. This is what we need to do. And then when they do and they solve the problem of the globe, I wonder what kind of acceptance, position, power will this person be given? You know, because fear causes people to behave irrationally.
Yeah, it
I would
does.
say.
It does. I mean, take the toilet paper. You can't go in the store and find toilet paper.
Right.
What's
Shelves
behind
are
that? You can't find sanitizer. The third thing you can't find is bullets, which
Yeah.
was interesting to me because that's saying a whole nother
That's
Do you
a whole
know-
nother
story.
discussion.
Do you know how many bullets they make in the
And
U.S.?
there's no bullets
Yeah.
anywhere. There's no guns anywhere available.
Yeah.
That is scary. So I mentioned to James earlier that I did the Sunday school lesson virtual today
Online,
because we
okay.
couldn't get together. And they were saying, well, Velveeta, we think it's because people are trying to protect themselves. They want to govern what they have. I said, that's interesting because since this started, we haven't heard about the shootings.
You have not.
We haven't heard about the killings.
You have
we
not.
haven't heard about all the other things that we were
Yeah.
afraid of
Yeah.
before this virus came.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. One of the girls said, well, I actually saw a gangbanger with a mask on. So even the gangbangers are afraid of this
Yeah.
virus. They have enough sense to know that this can kill me
Yeah.
because I can't see it.
Right.
Because it doesn't target a certain, although it's purported to target a certain age group, it has hit every age group,
Yeah.
every nationality, every culture, every economic bracket. You can't like really get away from it.
It's not.
So I think that's what the fear is. But I want to talk about not giving into the fear. Living your life. We all have to pivot.
Right.
But how do you pivot? That's what I want people to understand. Their fear. Yeah, you can turn on the news and see anything that you want to hear about this. How do we get through this with less fear?
I think it comes from looking within. If you know who you are, and you know whose you are, and you know who you belong to, that kind of takes the fear away.
Yeah.
Because regardless of what happens, if on the inside I'm a good person, I'm going to still be a good person.
It's not going to change.
It's not going to
Yeah.
change that. It's for all these people that wear these masks. They're the ones in trouble.
Yeah.
The idea of them being able to stay in the house by themselves
Yeah.
and there's nobody to look at, there's nobody to
Yeah.
talk about. Oh, well, now I got to look at me.
I know I was in the store yesterday, and they were, and I've done it, so I'm not knocking them, wiping down the carts with the sanitizing wipes,
Right.
which ran out, of course, as I walked in. But then I thought about it because I was like, and I said, but wait, I'm touching, whatever I'm picking up. Someone put that on the truck
Yes.
to put it on the shelf. You can't really get away from it. And then I only saw a couple people with masks, but as I kept going through the store that I didn't want to be in, but I was like, okay, like you said, I had to remember whose I was and remember who I am. And the ultimate goal of us all anyway as believers.
Yes.
So then that made it easier to be in the store.
Yeah.
But it's funny that there are, like the pasta, I got the 2 last boxes of pasta and I was praising God. I said, I ain't never praised God for no pasta before. But
Right.
Yeah.
I got 2 here. So I want, people are so afraid. And, some people do twist what's going on today to their benefit, to others' detriment. But there's a certain way to be cautious, to be smart.
Yeah.
and not be fearful. So let's talk about those differences.
Yeah.
Again, I think if you know whose you are, you hear there's all kind of reports. You can literally sit there and look at Google and scare yourself to death.
You turn on the TV and somebody's having a news program talking about it,
right?
With experts.
Yeah, it's enough to scare you to death if you just think about all the things. Because when they first started talking about this, as a former postal worker, the first thing I thought about was the mail.
Yeah.
And so we go to our mailboxes, we pick our mail up, not thinking.
Been touched by so many people.
The company had to put it in the envelope, so that's one touch. They put it in the mailbox. The carrier there had to pick it up. They had to take it to their post office. They had to go through a machine. Several people touched it. Then they had to get here to Chicago. The Chicago people. It's so many. When you think about being sanitized, being sterile, it's impossible.
It's impossible.
Yeah, it is.
I don't care how much you clean. I don't care how much you wear gloves, masks. The number of things that we have to go through. Think about if you had to go to the ATM. How many people touch them
It's
buttons?
nasty on a regular day.
Yeah.
Any day.
Yeah.
And so when you stop and say, oh my God, it's no way I could be that clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just slow down.
Yeah.
Pray before you go outside.
Exactly.
Keep your distance.
And exercise
Be smart.
caution.
And just be
Yeah, be
smart.
Because
smart.
I was in the grocery store when this thing first broke, and I was in the store, and there was a lady in front of me, and she was coughing like crazy.
Oh, wow.
And she's coughing in her hand, not her sleeve. Then she put her debit card in the machine, and
Touch
then
those
she
buttons.
punched the numbers.
Yeah.
And I was like,
This
wow,
low
this is
down.
not good. So I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? So what I did was, I said, okay, I just happened to have a pen in my jacket. So what I did was I used my pen
Okay.
to punch in the keys on the keyboard.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking, I got to punch these keys if use my debit card.
Right.
There's no other way to do it.
Right.
And then as far as touching the screen, I use my knuckle
Okay.
to punch on the screen.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, my point is, you exercise caution,
That's
but
being smart.
Yeah, that's being smart. You don't
Yeah.
want to be foolish.
Right.
But at the same time, you do your part, and you trust God for the rest. We take certain supplements that we know boost the immune system, which I've
Okay.
been sharing with people about taking an herb called ALJ, along with a couple of 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C daily. And what it does is it keeps your immune system up. To if you are hit with this thing, your body's able to fight it off, because our bodies are designed to fight off intruders. The problem is with the food we have, we're not getting the nutrients we need, and as a result, a lot of people's immune systems are compromised. And as you get older, it's weaker still. So when you get hit with these things, I actually honestly started thinking. I said, "Is this a form of subtle population control? What is this?" Because it's not your typical flu season outbreak.
Right.
Right.
But for me, I don't think I even think about stuff like that. I just want to get through each day. And yes, I'm trying to be smart, and I do want to hit somebody if they cough by me. But that's a regular day for me.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want people to understand, like, for instance, when Paige was here and her immune system was insanely low.
Okay.
So something like this would have low-key freaked me out, right?
Okay.
Christian is not as vulnerable, but still, like, we had company the other day, and
Right.
he stayed in his room.
Right.
It's being smart. It's not like, no, nobody come in the house,
Right.
spray down the mail.
Right.
That's
Right.
a fear-based reaction.
right.
It is.
Whereas as a response, okay, Christian stays in his room. He has TV, he has music, he got
Right.
his own Allegra, he's
Right.
good.
Right.
But just trying to figure out, some people, I would say, trying to figure out the why of what's going on is just going to increase their fear.
Yeah.
Instead of going within, like, so for me personally, I've been through a death of a child.
Right.
I've been through divorce. I've been through, other tragedies, sexual molestation. And I look at how God brought me through that. And yeah, it was just me, which is a little harder because you feel like you're the only one.
Right. Well, that's
Whereas
the devil.
but this is a global thing.
Exactly.
So everybody
It is.
feels like we can kumbaya together in this fear. But no, how can we help each other?
It's definitely something that we're going to have to deal with individually, because I can't help you if I can't help me.
That's true.
I can't even reach out to you.
Yeah.
So Tuesday, our church sent out a robocall, said we will not be having church, and that totally freaked some of the church members out. What do you mean we're not having church? Because the Sunday before we had gotten together.
Same.
We had gotten together, and so even then I was a little leery. Well, do I really like y'all enough to come to church and one of y'all call?
You do have that thought.
Sure.
You do. You have that thought.
Because the week before we had
You're human.
Right.
You're human.
We had went visiting to a church, and I had my grandson, and so he asked me, "Grandma, where's the washroom?" Grandma, I don't know. Well, the man in front of him who had been coughing says, he turns around and tells him where the washroom is. And I said, "Okay, thank you so much. We are visitors here." Well, he held out his hand.
No.
And I'm like, because you just coughed into that hand.
Yeah.
Normally, you wouldn't even pay attention to stuff like that. You at church.
I pay attention.
You at church and somebody holding you. That's the Christian thing to do.
Yeah.
And so I shook his hand, and from that moment on, I couldn't concentrate on the sermon, what was going on, because
my hand is infected.
I touched this man's hand. Not only did I catch his cold, my 3-year-old grandson caught his cold.
No.
And from that, just that
Oh,
simple
my gosh.
shake of hand.
Yeah.
And so he's sitting in church, and he pulled out a bottle out of a bag and turned it up. What we doing at church that you just pulled it? It was cough syrup. So that told me that you have been dealing with
You
this
knew
for
you
a
were
while.
sick. Yeah.
You knew
He's
that you were sick.
That's the
so
thing.
why did you come out?
Yeah, I think that's why they keep putting these restrictions in, because people knowingly go out.
Yes.
They do. They do.
Or I mean,
They have no. They have no.
Have it
They
and
have
not
no
know it.
regard
Yeah.
for others.
Right.
Yeah,
And
you
they
shaking hands.
And there are literally people who feel that, you know what, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not. I don't have that.
Right.
Yeah.
You got all the symptoms, but you
don't
are
know.
still saying, and you have no regard. You don't
Yes.
care
Yes.
about someone else.
Yes.
That is
And I
just.
think that's why they put restrictions in, because
is.
of people like
It
that
is.
who I'm going to go and live my life whatever.
Anywhere. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But you have the potential of affecting so many
So
people.
many
and
people.
This is a global thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's why, I have people who are angry, like, why they keep saying this? Because you got stupid people. It don't take one stupid person to change
infect
the
you.
rules. Yeah.
Well, that's what happened.
That's
One
exactly
person
what happened.
impacted the whole world.
Yeah.
However they did
Yeah.
it,
There
just
was a
one
patient
person.
zero.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so it's like, the restrictions do help. But we got to be smart, like you said. We have to
Yeah.
think about. So when I came home from church, I immediately started taking olive oil.
There you go. Ooh, she
Back
old school,
aspirin.
babe.
I'm
Ooh,
just-
she
Yeah.
hardcore.
I'm taking it back. So I was sick maybe 3 days, but my grandson, who's 3, is still sick today.
And how long has it been?
2 weeks.
Wow.
Oh.
And so it's like,
God bless
you may
him.
have thought that you had just a simple cough, but you passed it on to me and to
Yeah,
him
and so on and
everybody
whoever else.
else
Yeah.
that was in that
Yeah,
church.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so we have to be careful about things like that. I'm not a touchy-feely person anyway,
Yeah.
so I'm good with saying,
Wow.
stand back. You too
Yeah.
close. I was at the dollar
Yeah.
store,
You-
and they make you have a line now.
Yeah.
And this girl just popped up right behind me. And before I even thought about it, I was like, honey, there's a line. That man is in line back there. Gratefully, she didn't say anything to me. She just totally ignored me.
Yeah.
And then I got my packages because I'm thinking to myself, Lord, this girl 3 times my size. If she hit me, what I'm supposed to do? Because I'm opening my mouth for somebody else.
Yeah.
And so I get my packages, and as I get to the door, I hear her turn around and tell the young man nastily, you could go ahead because you was in line. Okay, Lord, she heard me, and she reacted to what I said, but it could have went a different way.
Could have.
have.
Yeah.
It could have went a different way. And so we have to be careful. We want to help each other, but so many people are in a place where they still saying, I don't want your help. And before it's all over said and done, we're going to all have to come together as human beings
Yeah.
to deal
The
with
way
this.
it's supposed to be.
Yes.
I think one of the most dangerous things about fear is individual fear precedes group fear. And group fear creates mob
It
fear.
feeds it.
And
They
once
feed each other.
And it feeds, and it becomes irrational. The most rational, logically clear-thinking person, once they become a part of a mob, there is no rationale.
Exactly.
That's how lynchings happen. That's how people were wrongfully put to death in I think maybe 1600s in Boston with the Salem witch trial. They call these women witches. It was a mass hysteria. And when people get afraid en masse like that, you don't know what they'll do.
Exactly.
Because they're afraid that survival instinct kicks in strongly, and being humane, being logical, following reason goes out the window, because that's the strongest instinct we have is survival. And I believe the next strongest instinct is caring for our children. You know, so with what's happening, we just have to be prayerful, and the people who know how to pray and who are connected to God, who have faith in God, we have to connect with Him to create an atmosphere to negate the fear that's in the air, because it's in the air. And the news media perpetuates it. It feeds it. It's all. If you ever notice, the news media always embellishes every negative thing that happens. In the summer, if it's some heat coming, they don't tell you the temperature. They tell you the heat index. The heat index is going to be, they say like the heat index, it's going to be 105 degrees. Well, they said heat index very low, 105 degrees. It's going to be, it's been so hot. Or we got 20 inches, or it's going to be 20 below zero. It's really only going to be 5 degrees. But with the wind chill, it's going to be 25 below zero, instantly freezing flesh.
Right.
We advise you to stay inside and avoid exposure. Now, everything they do is about fear. And it's the same thing with this. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be cautious and that we aren't facing something difficult here, but they take advantage of it. You know, and people become fearful. That's why you go to the store with no toilet paper.
Right.
None.
What are you eating, toilet paper? You making toilet paper sandwiches, toilet paper souffle, barbecue toilet paper.
What this taught me, it's so funny because, you know, I have always had a lot of toilet paper in the house.
I know.
I've just always kept a whole lot of bunch.
Okay.
And just the last few months, I'm like, okay, Wendy, you need to breathe, honey. Just get what you need.
Right.
And don't you know I do all that? And I'm like, see what I'm saying? I should have.
Because I went. What happened?
The way I was.
What happened? I went to the store during my lunchtime. I was at work on my lunchtime. I ran to the store, just pick up a few things I was going to get. She said, pick up a couple of things, toilet paper. Well, I get there, and I'm looking at this bare wall. I said, where's the toilet paper?
Did they move it?
Wow.
And the lady pointed. It was back there.
Yeah.
I said
brands.
the whole wall was gone.
Wow.
I'd never seen that.
Yeah, never.
Now, I've seen where maybe there's no milk, maybe there's no bread because of deliveries, maybe, but I've never, ever seen it run out of toilet paper.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
I was living in New Orleans, and Florida had a hurricane coming. Don't bother me. I'm in New Orleans. And my uncle said, take every pot you have in the house and fill it with water. Why am I doing that? Fill your tub, fill this. Why am I doing that? He said, when you go to the store to get water, get your essentials, you're going to be amazed that there won't be any water.
Even in New Orleans.
You're right.
New Orleans.
And there was no water in the store.
And I was like, dude, that is not going to happen.
Yeah.
He was telling me, I'm coming over there, I'm going to board up your window. What are you boarding up my windows for? The hurricane is in Florida. He said, listen outside the window. I listen, silence. That's strange because in New Orleans there's always birds. There's always, insects, some kind of. So I go to the store, and that was my very first time going into a Winn-Dixie and seeing bare shelves, and I was just like, it might be time for me to move because I have never seen anything like this. And so when something strange happens, people have a tendency to hoard.
They do.
I'm going to take all of this.
Canned goods were
everything, the store. All the shelves in the store were big. I had never seen anything like that. So to hear that things like that are happening here in Chicago,
we're not used to that.
we're just not used to that.
We're used to 15 feet of snow,
Right.
or it's like you said, 20 below zero,
Right.
But nothing to this magnitude. And even it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine in Florida. Him and his family live in Florida. He said, Wendy, this is coming at a time where we are about to go into hurricane season.
Wow.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
he was packing up his family to go to where his mom, I forgot where his mom was, but it wasn't in
Didn't he
Florida.
say New Jersey or somewhere?
North Carolina.
North Carolina,
Yes,
okay. Which is still on the
But
coast.
I'm just like,
Right.
wow, you don't think of, like, we're sitting here like, man, we're tripping because we've never been through this.
Yeah.
But what
Right.
about the people who are normally preparing for the natural disasters?
Exactly.
They got to add this to it.
Yeah.
And then put on top of all of this, you have identity thieves doing stuff.
I was gonna, yeah.
That is just so crazy. There's a travel site that a lot of people have went on and purchased. They paid for their trips only to get to these different destinations and be told, we never received the money. And then when they tried to get in touch with the travel agency, they have taken their stuff offline. They just recently put up a letter saying, due to the recent virus, we will not be able to service any customer service attempts. Yeah, but what about my $2,200 that I paid?
Yeah.
And now I'm in another country.
Wow.
Don't have a $2,200 to give this hotel.
Another 20,
and so
yeah.
now they're putting. I mean, it's just ridiculous the way people take advantage
Yeah.
Yeah.
of
There are
what's
a lot
going
of
on.
people who do that.
You know, you would think that, well, we're all dealing with this crisis, but some people are dealing with it differently.
Yeah.
They're trying to see, how can I come up? How can I
Yeah.
make, you know,
They're
we got
taking
4
advantage.
A sheet of
senators.
toilet paper.
Oh, yeah.
There was one sheet, not a roll. It was the little square of toilet paper on eBay for $3.
They
Wow.
had a
They
roll.
gave you free shipping though, girl. They gave
There
you
was
that
another
free.
one. Another roll of toilet paper was $10 on eBay.
Yeah.
For one roll.
Wow.
For one roll.
They
And
were
that was
lit-
$4.99 shipping.
And it was $4.99 shipping.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
On eBay.
Yeah, I mean, so
But
the thing
it's-
is just you got to be smart, and so we're telling people you got to know whose you are, and there are a lot of people who, up until this happened, felt they knew who they were and whose they were. So let's tell them how to understand who they really are, because if they're panicking now, they didn't really know.
Yeah.
How do we get them to start during this crazy season?
Well, the first thing I would tell anybody is you need to have faith in someone or something that is greater than you, greater than the problem you face, greater than the terrors that you're hearing about on the news. You have to have faith that there is a power that exists that created all of this, that created mankind. Now, granted, we made a mess of it as humanity. We made a mess of the planet, which is why these diseases and stuff happen, because of people perverting things, people experimenting with things that they shouldn't. But people have to have faith in something bigger than themselves. I think I always equate it to a person who has an older brother. When there's this kid wants to jump on you, I'm going to beat you up at 3. I'm going to see you at 3:15 in the playground. Well, you have someone that you know is bigger than you and that person that's going to also be in that playground.
Yeah.
So you are able to rest and lean against that knowledge about this person who has your back, who's going to fight for you, who's going to support you, going to protect you, going to provide for you, going to look out for you, going to comfort you. And that person is God Almighty.
Yeah.
Because if you put
That's
your
good.
confidence,
That's a good example.
if you put your confidence in anything else, it passes away. Even if it's another human being.
Yeah.
The president of the United States, the governor of the state, the mayor of the city, your alderman, your supervisor or manager at work, your husband, your wife, your parents, nobody can provide for you and protect you the way your creator can. And I think more and more people need to become aware of that and get away from the traditional religious ideas and their hang-ups. Well, I don't like church because they raise money. I don't like church because they hold too long. I don't like church because I don't like the way they blankety blank. Whatever it may be. Church, organized churches, religions have nothing to do with your personal relationship with your creator.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Because God didn't do anything to you.
And what's funny, those same people, they will go to work
They go to work
8 to 10 to 12 hours.
with their boss they can't
With the
stand.
boss they can't stand, the people they don't like the way they talk around them. They'll go to a concert or something, let Oprah show up. Anywhere, there's a line.
Yeah, yeah.
True.
But
yeah.
these people are like, I don't want to stand in line for church, but you Oh.
Stood in line to see Oprah.
You stood in line to see Oprah. You know, she didn't. Oh,
And there's nothing.
Michelle Obama.
Right.
Please.
I mean, and another human being can't do anything for you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But listen, we're coming up on our halfway mark. We're going to be back with part 2 of
Pushing past fear to find the best you.
Yes,
With Velveeta.
because your best you is on the other side of fear. We're going to talk about that,
That is so true.
in part 2. We'll be back.
You're listening to JW Fusion with your hosts, James and Wendy B.
And we're back. Part 2.
Velveeta
JW
Young.
Fusion, Velveeta Young, our awesome guest.
This woman know a whole lot of stuff, babe.
She's very knowledgeable, very
We can
passionate.
just talk to her all day and
I know.
and not run out of stuff to talk about.
But I want her to, in the second half, I want to talk about, because you're an expert on legal shield, legal protection, I want you to talk about the importance of being protected in times like this. Like you mentioned, identity theft,
Right.
things that are going to come up with employees and employers, you know, with this COVID-19 issue.
Right.
Various different things. So talk about what you've encountered over the past week or so, because this thing is very young. It's only been a couple of weeks.
It's only been a couple of weeks, and the more people that have to make decisions, the wider it's going to get.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is we all work the individual jobs,
Sure.
careers. But if you work for a company, that company has the ability to tell you to live or die. What do I mean? I heard a story of a surgical nurse that works at a hospital who had taken ill. She only had a cold, she thought. But being around the virus, she didn't want to take that.
Yeah.
She wanted to take
Self-quarantine.
precautions for herself.
Sure, yeah.
So when she goes to approach her boss, who also is her medical doctor, she was told, you just have to work through it. You have to come to work. If you fail to come to work, we will write you up for insubordination. Well, how does that happen? If I worked anywhere else, I would be able to call my primary physician, tell them my symptoms.
Get
They
a
would make a
note.
decision
Yeah.
if I need to come and get tested or not.
Sure, sure.
They would first tell me to quarantine myself for 14 days.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
everybody's response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so as an employee, what do I do? What rights do I have
Wow.
when these people are telling me who govern my livelihood,
Yeah.
because this too shall pass, but I still got to work for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to always be in the back of my mind that when I felt that I was sick and unable to work, you forced
and
me
you
to
knew
come
I'm
to
sick
work.
because you're my doctor.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so she was able to pick up the phone and call the law firm, and the law firm contacted the hospital legal department, and she's now off for those 14 days.
Nice.
But what do people
With
do?
her job being
With her
secure.
job being secure. But what are people doing when, because they said we're only going to keep essential positions open.
Yeah.
What's an essential position?
Right.
Depending on who you ask.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever they say it is.
Whatever
Yeah.
they say it is,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
day to day.
Yeah.
Today, we need the people that work at ComEd to go to work because we
Yeah.
don't want the grid to fall.
Right.
Exactly.
Tomorrow, we want all people that work with cell phones to go to work because we don't want the cell phones to fall.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But are those essential jobs?
Right.
So you're telling me just
In
because
the true sense of the word,
right,
essential.
that's
Yeah.
not really an essential job.
Yeah.
And so it's like, whenever you give people the leeway to make decisions that are not in black and white, what recourse do people have? Because I work for you, I come to you because you are the employer and say,
Yeah.
what is the policy for this? And if it changes from hour to hour, depending on if you like me or not, we can't take away the human element. There's still people that we don't like for whatever reason. But if I'm your boss and I got 2 employees that come to me and they're both coughing, but I really like you because you bring me soul food dinners on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And this one, you come to work late every other day, and I'm always in your face about working. Well, my little sweetie that brings me my soul food, you go home for them 14 days. You that I don't really like, you stay here. Right. And I'm going to work you overtime just to get back to take care of this person.
It's sad, but people do that.
And people are doing that. Yeah. So what recourses do people actually have? And that's why I like Legal Shield, because in a time like this, we don't know.
And for people who didn't hear our first show, you can find it to hear it. But just real briefly, talk about what Legal Shield is.
So Legal Shield gives families, business owners, commercial drivers, and concealed carry operators the ability to have access to a law firm when something happens. And in this situation that we're going through, with things happening differently every single day. One day the president says something, one day the governor says something, one day the mayor says something, you got your boss saying something, you got your spouse saying something. We just don't know. We're not really good at making the best decision when we're faced with a platoon of suggestions.
Right.
And so being able to pick up the phone and call the law firm, because like I mentioned, the law is changing every single day. There are laws being changed that we don't even know about that's going to impact us.
That's true.
Yeah.
The attorneys are able to keep up with those laws.
That's their job.
That's their job.
They are essential.
Exactly. So when you call them and say, hey, X, Y, and Z is going on at my job, at my child's school. Another thing is the children that we're going to graduate this year. The 8th graders, the seniors from high school, the seniors from college. Those children feel a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
And it's not even about being they're mad that I'm not going to cross the stage because I don't work hard for the past 4 years.
Or the scholarships that they were hoping to get to go to college.
And so this is a huge impact. So when you have those type of questions or concerns, to have the ability to pick up the phone, call a law firm in your area that can tell you what the laws are today as well as tomorrow, can help you make better choices.
So Legal Shield, the attorneys stay on top of new legislation as it happens pretty much.
Yes.
Because you are right, because you have city government, you got state government, you have federal government, and one supersedes the other. So if the city says something and the state government says, no, this is what's required in the state of Illinois or the state of Nebraska, then the federal government says, no, this is what's required in the United States.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
Period.
And it will be enforced by the National Guard if need be.
Yes.
So now the city's telling you one thing, the state's telling you one thing, the federal government's telling you something else. You don't know who to turn. You don't know who to listen to.
Exactly.
You can't listen to everybody sometimes if they're not in agreement. And it seems that some are in agreement and others aren't in agreement. With the policy of what's next.
Yes.
Even a lot of the employers, they don't know what to do because they've never faced this.
This has never happened before.
Exactly.
This is all brand new for everyone.
It is. And
but
again,
that's why you have things in place, period. Like we did Legal Shield, what did we start 2 months ago? 2 or 3 months ago?
2 months ago.
So we didn't know this was coming.
As soon as we heard about Legal Shield,
we did it, So can people call now to sign up?
People can still sign up. They can call me at 708-606-2379, 708-606-2379. The other thing, too, is right now it appears that our city and state government are working together.
Yes.
I've been watching that.
It appears.
Because the other part of this is that somebody is going to have power. We're doing power shifts. And yes, she's the mayor of Chicago, and he's the governor of Illinois. Right. But like you said, Donald Trump is over the federal part.
Yes.
And so right now, they are playing nice together.
Yeah.
There's going to come to a point where they're not.
Yeah.
Because of the situation. The governor may say, well, we need all streets and sand employees to go to work because we need to keep the garbage up.
Yeah, because she was going to keep the schools open. And then the governor was like, so all the schools closed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was a conflict there.
Yes. And so I'm looking for those conflicts to get even bigger the longer this program goes on, because at some point you're both in a situation of power, but power also affects the ego. And so you can't come to my city and tell me what to do. Well, yes I can, because I'm the governor. And then you have and then you have Donald Trump saying, well, I'm over the whole United States, so I'm going to make the decision for what's best. And we can't trust your decisions, because your decisions in the past, these past 4 years, has been like, woo, is this my president?
And but legally, there are some things that are in place. So Legal Shield stays up on that.
Yes.
So it doesn't even matter who you like or don't like.
No.
You can make that phone call about your situation.
Exactly.
And get assistance for that based on what's in the law.
And you got someone to stand for you.
Yes.
You can go to a court of law with all the truth you want.
With your best suit on.
If you're not an attorney,
they won't talk to you.
They will not hear you. You can go there saying what they did. Well, I'm sorry, you need an attorney. I can't hear you.
They won't even give you. You don't feel like am I invisible? Did you just not see me walk in here? I've had that happen.
I had that happen to me. I went and the judge looked at me and said, "I can't hear you." Well, I'm standing right here. I can't hear you. Get one of these fine gentlemen here to represent you, then I can hear you.
See, my judge, she just kept looking around the court like I was invisible.
Right. And
I got an attorney. She's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, what?
And the thing is, under the Constitution, you can represent yourself pro se.
Yes.
But they don't like that.
But they don't tell you. They won't acknowledge that unless you push it. So what I'm seeing is, for example, you were talking about the different levels of government. I remember 2 weeks ago in Champaign, Illinois, downstate Illinois, the mayor of that city forbade the sale of any types of alcohol or arms. Now, that wasn't the governor.
Right.
It wasn't federal. It was in that city.
Wow.
No alcohol sales, no sales of guns or ammunition.
Wow.
Period. Cut it off. Now, they had that authority. Now, somebody could go get an injunction, but if you don't go get an injunction, you can't buy no booze, you can't buy no alcohol. So I can see what you're saying about that being a potential problem, which would be catastrophic if the governments are clashing. Because it's true, state governments do have some autonomy, and certain laws are set up to be state-run, not federally mandated.
Right.
But if they decide to shift that with an executive order, now you got the governor and the president fighting, or the Republicans and the Democrats, or the something and the something at odds.
Yeah.
And the people are getting ground underfoot.
But that's why you get the expertise, people who know what is written. And okay, it changed, but they will know about that change.
Right.
To help you understand.
Exactly.
Without having someone's ego in place, you know what to do. And I think that's important, just to be prepared.
Right.
Because you got to know how to navigate the legal system. And if you don't know how to navigate the legal system in a situation like this, when it's dealing with your livelihood, how you going to live, how you going to eat, where you going to live, provide for your family, you need to have legal representation on hand, because God willing, this thing is going to blow over, and there's going to be a lot of collateral damage behind it, with employers and employees, people who refused to come to work, they were too sick to come to work, they lost their jobs, and there's times people who have been ill were terminated. Like if somebody goes to drug treatment, say you didn't show up, so we replaced you.
Right.
Well, if they're in drug treatment legally, you can't do that.
Well, yeah, and see that's the beauty of Legal Shield, though,
That's
because
what I'm
they don't
saying.
have to say,
Right.
we fired you because you didn't come in. You can know it. They can say something else, or you didn't dot the I on that last thing that you were supposed to do.
Yep.
So we have to let you go. Having legal representation gets through all the mess,
The red tape.
the red tape.
It does.
Because there's going to be some red tape.
Yeah.
Thursday, I believe, the employees at Markham Courthouse, they just walked out.
Wow.
Just walked out. How do you close a whole courthouse?
Whoa.
And I was like,
Wow.
but the Daily Center has been closed since this first started. City Hall was closed Tuesday. And so the dynamics of what's going on you're going to need some legal assistance to stand on, because who knows?
Yeah.
But I was so shocked about that. I assumed that Markham Courthouse had closed when the rest of them closed, but they had not. But the employees on, I think it was Thursday, got up simultaneously and walked out the building.
Wow.
How do you do that? You got felons in here. You got people that's locked up in here. How do you just get up and walk out?
Bye.
And so it's like there are going to be some situations.
Yeah.
That's where the fear. That there's going to be some situation, and I don't think we're all thinking about the long-term effects of this virus. Okay, I'm okay for these 2 weeks. Governor Pritzker said, I want all food establishments to close. How are these people supposed to live? How are they supposed to make their money? And then how are they supposed to pay their employees if they're not open?
Right.
Then he said, okay, well, you could do takeout. Okay, but you still hurt me. 60% of my business walked out the door. And you're telling me to tell my employees, well, if you feel ill, just go home. How?
And then for servers, that's their, I mean, and I understand.
They live off the tips.
They
Tips
live off,
are
I
huge.
was a server before. The check itself, even I think they increased the server's pay by $2. That still isn't anything.
Right.
The money is made off the tips.
Exactly.
So we got to, just use compassion when you're talking to people. Some people are fear. They've never had anything happen in their lives, and they're freaking out. Let them freak out. You don't have to freak out with them.
Exactly.
You don't have to feed into what someone else is doing.
You don't. You get just as a Legal Shield member, pick up the phone, call your law firm. This is what's going on. What are my legal options?
Yeah.
And then stand on that, because who else you
it's
gonna
on
call?
paper. It's a law.
Right. It's the law. It's
You
the law.
stand strong.
Exactly.
I want to talk about Velveeta though. How's she handling? Because she been through some stuff. And what I applaud and I admire from you is that you've been through a lot of things, and you're like, okay, so I got to keep it moving.
Bounce it off.
I just got to do it this way. So during this time, I know you have the breakfast for CEOs.
Yes.
Y'all not having breakfast right now, right?
We're meeting virtual.
Virtual?
We had a virtual this month, which was really good.
So did you freak out like, we got this plan? Or did you like, okay, well, let's think of it. Do you go into that immediately? Okay, let's think of the alternative.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think that any crisis that you face, there's always two decisions. You can freak out, or you can make a decision.
Yeah.
And your nature is to make a decision.
My nature is to make a decision.
Okay.
Because
Good.
everybody else freaks out.
Yeah.
And once you freak out, you still got to make that decision. So why waste time freaking out? And so when, I first heard about this, I was like, okay. And then the restaurant called and said, hey, we're closed. You can't have any meetings here. Okay. As I stated, Legal Shield had been doing virtual meetings for the past 2 years, so I felt comfortable reaching out to people saying, hey, this month the breakfast is going to be virtual.
Okay.
And for the most part, they were like, well, we understand why you're doing it. We've never did this before, but we'll try it.
Time to learn something new.
We'll try it. And I think as a society, we have to be in a try it mode.
Especially
because
now.
we don't know.
We got to be flexible.
You got to be flexible. If Wendy says, Velveeta, come on, we're going to run to the store. Maybe not someone. Okay, Wendy, I'm going to go to the store with you, but I'm going to sit in the car and you go in.
Yeah.
You got to think, especially
You have to be smart.
If you're if you got a little cold or you got a I'm not really going to go around other people.
Right.
But
I know I have allergies, and that postnasal drip, I can cough. But I know if I'm going through, you cannot go outside. Somebody going to beat you up.
Yeah.
And that's a host because they
Well,
think
ain't nobody
going to
beat you up.
I'm sorry. I meant to say they're going to try.
Because Wendy used to beat up the whole neighborhood.
I opened the door to that.
She did. She used to beat the tar out of people.
The Lord has worked on me since then.
Okay, you're not the same person.
Thankfully, I would be in jail if I was.
Just as quiet and sweet.
Yeah.
I can relate to that because I was a bully too. Because I was always so little.
I was
a
bully
bully
because I was a rail and I was super quiet.
Okay.
But like what you said the big brother. See, I had Margot.
Oh yeah, Margot.
Margot was a big girl in grade school, and she liked. I had just a couple friends, Margot and Leslie, and a couple other friends. But I knew Margot could handle it.
Okay.
But they would tease me because I was a straight. We had E's and G's back, so I was straight E student.
Okay.
And I was very, very quiet, very, very shy. So they thought, we can just.
Right.
They didn't know I had a mean streak.
You had a mean road.
So you know how people.
You Yeah, no streak.
You know how people come in your face and then you kind of cower back. See, I don't want to have that conversation. Like, no, you said you hit me first.
Right.
I just hit you.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a bully.
You were a bully.
I was protective of myself. And if you mess with my sister, okay, now I really got to fight.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Let me ask you this. Okay, because I was sitting there thinking, I said, okay, when you presented the idea of an online breakfast of CEOs, how long had you, because you founded this, right?
Yes.
Okay. How long had you been having it?
This is the 5th year.
So for 5 years.
Well, the first 3 years, it was every week.
Okay.
Wow, that's a lot.
And then I made the decision to pull back to do some other things. So the last 2 years, it's been every month.
Every month.
Yes.
So you have a good
So that means
presence.
you've done over 60 of these.
Yes.
All right. So then you come after all of these and you shift to something different. Mm-hmm. Was the attendance the same? Or the participation the same, or did it drop a little? Did it drop a lot?
It did drop, and I think that was because of me. It wasn't because of the people. It was because of me in terms of trying to figure out who to give the information to.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because, everything is not for everybody.
Right.
And so really was just trying to get the people that I thought would switch over as opposed to letting everybody know. And so this next month, I know to just let everybody know, I've been posting it on Facebook that we are switching because, but this time I was specifically trying to get certain people to come over.
Okay.
And then they could attest to the fact, hey, it was easy, we were at home, we got the information.
Yeah.
So I decided to do it that way. But yes, the participation did drop. However, Friday, instead of me going to the radio station where I just couldn't fit my head around going into this building, pushing the elevator button, because I don't know who all is in this building.
Yeah.
And so I made the decision to do my radio as a Facebook Live.
And that was just a pivot for you.
That was just a pivot.
Yeah.
Do you know that I had more participation on the Facebook Live?
Wow. Okay, so people can catch you. Where are you putting the breakfast information, and where's your radio information?
So the breakfast information is on Eventbrite because it'll have the number for the virtual meeting, and the radio is now going to be a Facebook Live every Friday at 6
On your personal page?
On my personal page.
Okay, Velveeta Young.
Velveeta Young.
Okay.
So
Yes.
you're doing your radio show on Facebook Live?
Yes.
Okay.
What's nice too with that, you can see the immediate participation in your show,
and you
right?
see the encouragement because on the show I can't see anything.
Yeah.
But on the Facebook Live,
You see comments.
I started at 6 o'clock, 6:03. The first comments start coming
Yeah,
in. You
yeah.
go hearts and all just different things, and then
It makes
afterwards,
a difference.
It did, and then afterwards, being able to go back and get the comments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which were very. It was very nice to see because a lot of times when we do stuff like this, we never get to see the audience.
Right.
We never hear from the
Exactly.
audience.
Yeah.
Even though you had the ability to call in on a radio station, you just don't have
It's
that
different,
audience
yeah.
participation.
It's immediate.
Yeah.
Yes.
On Facebook
Because I do
Live.
a live every Wednesday, and like you said, as soon as you press live,
Yes.
you see the number of people watching you. But then
Right.
even later, you can track that number. You can go back, like you said, and see the comments.
Exactly.
See the likes.
Exactly.
Who liked it, So,
Exactly.
and then kind of tweak it that way.
Yeah.
And even with me, I invite questions. I may
Okay.
not answer during the show.
Okay.
Because then we'll be here till the next day.
Right.
But put the comments down, ask the question, I'll come back.
That's a good idea.
And if I say something that you have something to contribute, put it down there.
Okay.
Let's create this community of people.
Nice.
But yeah, the more you go weekly, you're gonna be like, dang, I got all these. And they're gonna look for Christian with me. It's
Right.
not me as Christian, but they'll look for you.
Okay.
As you continue and you're consistent with it.
yeah. And I don't know why I had been afraid of Facebook Live.
Really?
I just no, I'm not gonna push the button. No, my hair's not right. No, my earrings.
Yeah.
And
Have you seen? Look at any of my lives. You're like, no makeup today. hey.
Because I'd kind of thought about us doing a radio show on Facebook Live.
Okay.
That would be, I don't know how to go on a Sunday at this time.
Yeah.
We'd probably,
We don't know until we try.
that's true.
Or we change the date. I mean, it's like you live here, babe.
Right.
We live together.
Yeah, this our studio.
Yeah.
We own the land.
Yes. Praise God. But yeah, just with this fear that's going around, I would just want to encourage people through our stories. the yeah buts is not going to propel you forward.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is affected.
Mm-hmm.
You moaning and groaning and being angry is not propelling you. Okay, yeah, like I have a home-based business.
Mm-hmm.
Don't nobody want to come. So we're thinking of different ways collectively as a business. Okay, we may have to do Facebook ways of doing it. It's just a different way of thinking. Yes, we've done this for decades.
And that's what we got to do, because we're moving into a different era.
Mm-hmm. But that's exciting to me. It's something you're learning something to live
We're
differently.
moving into a different era.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned, you and I have talked about this. The astrology people say we're moving from the age of Pisces, which is the church age, into the age of Aquarius, which is the age of knowledge and understanding and wisdom and things of that nature, or consciousness. And what I'm seeing happening is that people are moving away from the traditional ways of doing business, the traditional ways of worship, as far as their belief in God or the higher power, the different ways of working, doing their jobs. Everything is different. People now think nothing of meeting their future wife on a dating site, on the internet.
Yeah.
We're living in a different world now.
And they have successful marriages.
They all of this new stuff.
You got to
is
be open
working.
to change.
It's working.
Yeah,
It's
change
working.
is constant. It's going to happen.
It is. And just like this is 2020. Imagine 1920, how things were, how primitive they seemed.
Yeah.
Now, 2120 is going to look back at us the way we look back
Poor things
at
had
1920.
to grab the car themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's the thing about progression. You have
Progress,
to be different. You
evolution
have to
and growth.
embrace change.
That's what I wanted to get to about getting to your best self. Moving past fear. Okay. For me, moving past fear is embracing the love of God, because perfect love casts out fear. So once you get rid of your fear, how do you locate your best self? From your perspective, for you, how you go about it, because we all have our own methods. But for you, Velveeta, how do you go about it? What is your process for
It's
that?
to take action.
Taking action.
Take action. A lot of times we stop ourselves saying, like me, I just didn't like Facebook Live for whatever reason.
Okay.
And now I find myself in a position where I'm not going to the radio station. I have a following that is expecting to see me at 6 o'clock on Friday. What do? I'm going to do a Facebook Live.
Okay.
And so when I did my to-do list, that was part of it. Facebook Live at 6 p.m. So at 5:45, I'm getting myself situated. I got my stuff that I want to talk about. Right now, what I want people to know, introducing myself.
Sure.
So, and then at 6 o'clock, just took off. And I'm always amazed when people see me, they say, "You're such a natural. My God, you've just been doing this forever."
Yeah.
No, I haven't been doing it forever, but I knew that this was where I wanted to go. I knew I had an idea of how I wanted to do it, being safe myself.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then just go.
So basically,
Yeah.
you saw what you needed to do. You made a decision to do it,
Exactly.
and you made plans.
Right.
Then you took action.
Took action.
You laid out everything. Then you took action.
Yes.
You put the thing in motion.
Yes.
Because
The
that's
more
what,
you do that, the more second nature it is.
It becomes.
because that's what's
Yeah.
necessary. That's how God does things.
Yeah.
God lays out everything. If you notice, I'm going to tell this story right quick. In Genesis 1:26, God said, "Let us make man in our image after our likeness." God is a spirit. So therefore, the man and the woman, he said, created he them, male and female. They were spirit. They didn't have physical bodies yet. They didn't have a physical body till the second chapter of Genesis. But the first chapter, he made them in his image after his likeness, male and female at the same time, simultaneously, which means that the man is not superior to the woman or the woman to the man. They were made at the same time when he said it. He gave them instructions, gave them the fivefold mandate: be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, have dominion over the earth.
Yeah.
Then over in the second chapter, he formed man from the dust of the ground and gave him a body, created the woman and gave her a body. So what happens is God always gives us instructions and the plan before we execute. You know? And our time is just about up.
Velveeta,
thank you so much.
For everything.
Oh my gosh.
You're an amazing person, and thank you for sharing your day with us.
Yeah. Listen, until next time, I'm James H. Carpenter Barnes, and I'm here with
Wendy B.
and Velveeta Young. Allow God's grace to continue to pour in your life as a mighty river.
Thanks for listening to JW Fusion with your hosts, James and Wendy B.